Okay, now that we have our drawer box construction in place, let's go to create our drawer guide schedule. And before we do that, I want to go into materials and look at the available drawer guides. So if I go into hardware and drawer guide, this is all the stock drawer guides that come with Cabinet Vision. And one thing that I'll do sometimes is I like to keep all these stock guides because they're nice to copy off of, and if we ever end up doing these in the future, I don't necessarily like to delete them. But sometimes what I'll do is I'll create a group and then maybe just name these stock guides. And then everything that I'm not using, I want to just pull into that folder. So if I highlight the first one in the group, hold shift and highlight the second one or the last one, and then just click and drag, and I can just kind of clean this library out. So I'll do that for all the ones I'm not planning on using. I want to use the 563H. So we'll keep the 569 as well. More of the heavy duty, that longer version. Okay, and this is not necessarily required, but you'll find that when you get into the schedule and everything, the more you organize this well, the easier it is. And we'll come back into some of these settings as far as on the guide. For now, I'm going to head over to the material schedules, and I'm going to go to drawer guide. And there's actually already a 563 set up, but I'm gonna create a brand new one just so we can see how these work. So I'm gonna hit new. I'm gonna go Bloom 563H. And so there's no sizes. When I look at the stock one, it has these depth sizes that we can assign to it. If I go to my new one, we don't have any of those sizes. And I want to build this from scratch just so you understand how it works, so you can add new sizes and new different tiers. So let's start with the drawer guides. I'm going to right click and hit add size. And I always forget whether it's largest to smallest or smallest to largest. So we'll try largest first. We'll go 21, 18, and I think that's backwards. So if we look here, it's 9, 12, 15. So let me actually delete those. And let's start from our smallest. And again, I like to use just the 3-inch increments. So 9, 12, 15, 18, and 21. And now, remember what I said in the last video, it's very important that our guide schedule matches what we chose in our drawer box construction, because we don't want to add more sizes here than what we have in our drawer box. So make sure that we have the same depth settings in our drawer box construction as we do right here. Okay, now when I go into hardware and drawer guide, we can see our options here. And I want to actually make one other change before I start assigning these. I'm going to go back into material, and I'm going to look at my drawer guide, and I'm going to change the description. So this is going to be Bloom 9-inch. And again, this is another optional thing that's going to just help you whenever you're assigning, and just shows up better in the report center as well. 15-inch, 18. And if you're ever not sure about the Bloom slides, this is just the millimeter value. So if you take 533 millimeters to inches, that'll tell you how long the slide is. Okay, so now we have that. Let's go back into our material schedule. Okay, so now we have 9, 12, 15, 18, and 21. Let's open up hardware. And just like we've done with all the other material schedules, we simply drag these over. If you want to, you can highlight it before you start dragging to make sure you get the right one. And you can see that putting this in the description makes it a lot easier. If you'd rather have the 12-inch in the actual name, then it shows up on the reports and everything. So it's up to you whether you put it in description or name. Some people like to see SKUs, other people like to see friendly names. Okay, perfect. Now let's delete everything else. Okay, now I don't mind deleting the drawer guide schedules because, as you just saw, it's super easy to replicate those. I would hang on to the actual guides so that if you ever want to do side mounts, you can just copy from AccuRides. Even if you're not actually doing AccuRide, just use the same model and change the name. You can right click and copy these. But for most people just doing undermount slides, we just need one option, but it would be very simple to set up a side mount based on the AccuRide if you do offer that. Okay, now we need to do the same thing on our rollout guides. We can hit add size, and we start from the smallest one. Okay, cool. And then I'll just assign these. And there's a whole strategy around doing rollouts. I'm not going to cover that in this video. We'll get into that deeper into the course. I'm not going to fill out the shelf guide. You can do the same thing with add sizes. If you're doing the shelf guide, that'd be like a keyboard pullout or just a flat adjustable shelf pullout. So now we have that. Let's go into a job and look at what we've done. Let's go into room. Make sure that we're on our Bloom Tandem construction. And we need to have our new hardware selected. Okay, perfect. Unhide my parts. Okay, let's make sure this is switching. So we have a 24-inch cabinet, so we have a 21-inch deep drawer box, which I can see there. It's a 5 by 21. And if I change this to a 21, it goes down to a 18-inch deep drawer box, and the guide switches with it. Now, if I do a 30-inch deep, because of how I currently set this up, it maxes out at a 21. And again, if you would mismatch the drawer box construction and the drawer guide schedule, this is where you'd see the box going deeper than the guide or vice versa. Now, in a future video, I'm going to go deeper into my strategy with setting up stopping at 21 and then have an extended version. Which you probably already get a sense of what I'm doing there, but for most people I would recommend stopping at 21, then making a copy of it that allows it to go all the way up to 30. And again, we'll cover that in a future video. So that's all for the drawer box section. One last thing before we end this video, I'm going to go to File and Close. And I'm going to go into the Materials section, and let's look at a couple settings